Howdy, I'm Jimmy. Thanks for joining me today for this talk. Talking about open-mindedness and how important it is to keep an open mind all throughout life. Just like when you were a child, you were pretty open to anything and everything. I heard a great saying from Jordan Maxwell the other day that made me think about all this. It's the title of the video. Your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open, right? So, I've been going through changes lately. I just think it's that time of the year to sit back and reflect. Been burning a lot of wood because it's extra cold lately. I think if you're in the United States, we just got hit with a big snowstorm. A historic 120-year storm, yada, yada, yada. I mean, whenever I hear that stuff, I'm just thinking weather modification, weather weapons, right? If you're paying attention, that's probably what you're thinking too. But this storm kind of forced everybody to huddle inside, slow down. So there's always a positive to these things. So along with keeping your mind open, I think it's really important to slow your life down. Stop being that hamster on the wheel, spinning and spinning and spinning for somebody else. It's important to take your life moment to moment. Like I like to say, the greatest present you can have is this present moment. If you can get rid of the past and the traumas and the things holding you back, the nostalgia. I heard of a new concept called hauntology. Things that haunt you from the past, if you can put all that aside. If you can put aside all the anxiety of the future, all the fears of the future, and what the television tells you is going to happen about the future, then just calm yourself down. Find a center point, moment to moment, minute to minute, hour to hour, one day at a time, please. That's the reason why the sun comes up and then it goes down. It's like that's all we really need is day by day. We don't need to freak ourselves out about the past or the future, because the past and the future are right now happening. Whatever you decide to do will dictate the future, okay? It's super important to keep your mind open about that and to not get caught up in too many patterns that hold you back and hold everybody else back around you. So this talk on open-mindedness, I just think it's really important right now with the way things are going and how in America you can kind of see the Civil War is brewing. It's already been a psychological civil war your whole life. People trying to get you to join one side or the other, and then nobody wins. So I want to kind of talk about I've changed my mind on some things. And I made a video about why I'm an anarchist, right? And anarchy just means no rulers. Kind of like what your Constitution says, everybody's equal. Kind of like what the Bible says, we're all equal. I think there's truth mixed in with a lot of lies, with all of these stories from the past. There's always some truth there that really grabs you. And you should keep an open mind about the rest of it. And how I'm coming to this conclusion that yeah, anarchy, it would work for me, right? The type of people like me who I want to do it myself. I have a passion for my own creativity, and I look into the past and I just see how all these people misled me, lied to me, even though they didn't even know it was lies. They were just going with what they went with. So that's what really has made me this anarchist person in a way. But instead of anarchy, I should have said voluntarist, agorism. It's just this idea that you get to decide everything in your life. You have agency. You know, you're free to think. You're free to act. And there will always be consequences, no matter what structure you have around you. But I guess one of the points I'm trying to make in this talk is there will be structures, right? There's going to be leaders leading the youth, right? There's always going to be some sort of hierarchy. And even though I'm a freedom guy, I got to recognize that in this realm. It's a lesson tough for me to learn, but I'm learning it. And I'm understanding why it needs to be this way, and why my opinion is not the most important. Everybody has an equal say here, and everybody's kind of acting out what they think is right. And so I think we should focus on our local situations more than anything right now. If you want to make a change, make it in your local community, make it in your local town. And then if you want to reach out and make a big change, I think your state government is about it. We need to end the federal government. It's a big, I'm kind of been talking, we need to end all government. We need to end all mind control. But we can't really just wipe away the structures around us that easily. I've been foolish to try and preach getting rid of it all. I'm just a guy who, I know I'd be fine, but I got to think of everybody else and what they're going through. And so a lot of people are dependent on others. Just the way it goes here. And so it's kind of interesting what's going on in New Hampshire at the moment. Last year, the state legislature voted to get rid of your emission testing. And so, in New Hampshire, every year you got to go to the car shop and get your emissions test and get a different colored sticker placed on your car to make sure your emissions passed every year. It's kind of, to me, I like the idea that we're free to travel instead of restricting people with money. To me, it's like taking money from somebody every year for something that's unnecessary. So they passed the legislation to get rid of all these tags. And it's basically supposed to go into effect like now, at the end of January. But what ended up happening is somebody sued the state of New Hampshire because, people have a lot of money and they can kind of do this type of thing. And now a federal judge has stopped that law from going into effect. So you're kind of back to where you started in America, right? You have a giant federal government. You have the states, and the people elect a legislature, and then they represent the people of the state, and then they pass a law, or they get rid of a law, and that's supposed to represent what the people say. But then you got a small group of people in Washington, D.C., the District of Criminals, who decides that, nope, we get to decide what you can and can't do in your own state, even though they don't even live here, right? So a federal judge has said that, nope, you guys got to keep doing the emission testing. You got to keep paying for tags to travel. And it's based off the Clean Air Act, or whatever you want to, say. So it's basically the federal government shoving its weight around. I mean, just like it's doing around the rest of the United States right now. Sending the Gestapo around to disappear people. I'm sure you're aware of all that crap. Executing people in broad daylight, for exercising their right to protest. And so I just think it's that time where we kind of need to recognize this thing's out of control. If the state of New Hampshire can't decide what goes on with vehicle emissions and the federal government's going to, use its heavy hand and say, hey, you can't even do that. I mean, what freedom do you even have? Like this is not a big deal, stopping emission testing. You can still be pulled over if you're driving dangerously. If somebody's going down the road, there's a big puff of smoke coming out of their car, you can get pulled over for that. There's obviously common sense that still goes along. They're not just getting rid of all the laws on the road and making it dangerous. It's just helping people out that don't have money to pay for these emission testing every year. It's pretty frivolous to me. There's other states that don't have this going on. But it's just interesting that the federal government wants to step in on something so small like that, And so I'm kind of changing my mind on some things, and I'm keeping an open mind to, let's keep some structure around, but we got to get rid of this federal government. It is turning really bad really quick. If you've studied the digital ID side of everything, you got to understand the plan that they're implementing right now with all these AI data centers. Project Stargate, I think, is what it was, where they're putting billions of dollars into creating all these data centers with AI. And they said they're going to make injections based off of your DNA to cure cancer. I mean, they're always making crap up to sell you this idea of big tech. But what it's really about is surveillance. They want to make all these data centers. They already have a national ID that they've created. And to make a long story short, it's all headed towards digital currency, right? They already print money out, inflate your currency to where it's harder to buy things at the store. Go back 10 years. If you could go back 10 years and look at your grocery bill and compare it to today, I'm sure you would not be happy with what you see. And I just think it's kind of an obvious step forward for this technocracy that they're building around us, and how it's crazy that it's gone this far, and how it obviously it's I don't think it's going to work because there's way too many people, and it's out of hand. It's too much. But they want to turn us into China, where you got a social credit score and you can't spend money here if you said that. I mean, if you've been following the ICE raids, if somebody's filming ICE on their camera, they come up to the person, take their ID, and put them on a list now for filming the public. Like, that's your First Amendment right, is you can go film police. The police are supposed to identify themselves, right? But you got all these guys wearing masks running around disappearing people. Does that remind you of anything in history where something really bad happened? You know, and it's because it's a federal government. These aren't local people. They're taking people from other parts of the country, right? They're taking the people from the red states, putting them in the blue cities, and they're just running amok, right? It seems like it's so far out of hand, this authoritarian, totalitarian society they're building. It should be obvious that this is like a repeat of history that has repeated itself over and over and over again, and it always leads to the same situation, to where it'll be used against people who are dissident, people who speak out against these things. I mean, they're putting people on a list that are videotaping this stuff. It's just, I don't care what side of politics you're on, like, this is all so wrong. It's already gone so far. But you can see how, you know, you're going to have ICE people murdered in the street eventually. Whether it's from somebody doing it or it's some sort of false flag event. And then they're going to have, I guess it's, make a long story short, Trump wants to use the Insurrection Act. And that basically means like he can just nationalize the National Guard in each state. He can federalize the National Guard in each state, and then boom, you've got an army, right, that's roaming the streets with guns, checking IDs. Like, you can see where this leads to and what it's planned to do. And then that's going to lead to more surveillance, more digital IDs, more checkpoints everywhere. And I'm just getting out ahead of the situation. I can see it clearly. And I'm just giving you a warning, kind of trying to tell you, like, it's not looking pretty right now, but this ain't nothing compared to what they have planned. And so whatever side you're on, you should keep an open mind to these things, and how I think we have enough state police, we have enough sheriffs, we have enough people in our own towns, our own cities, our own states to take care of crime, take care of these things going on. And if if Portland wants to have a zone where it's whatever goes and there's no laws and they allow criminals, that's the people of that place deciding to have an experiment, okay? It's just to have this authoritarian, small, tiny district of criminals able to send armies out and control everybody else is far worse than a little one block of a city having some violent stuff going on. Like, you gotta pick up what I'm putting down. They're trying to militarize the United States more than it already has been. But I don't want to ramble on too long, because I could. I was listening to Topher Gardner and Andrew Kaufman have a talk last night, and they were bringing up some of these subjects, and they talked about infantilization. So I kind of just want to end it on this idea. You've probably heard infantilization. Another way to say it is adult babies, right? There's a time in your life where you got to grow up. You got to become more responsible for what's happening around you. You got to stop looking into your scrying mirror, your black screens, and being brainwashed, okay? We need to realize the boomer generation, they're the first generation to have these televisions and to be brainwashed by the television. Now you've got the internet brainwashing people as well. It's more specific. It's algorithmic. It's echo chambers feeding you what you want to hear. And it's adult baby situations, okay? It's people looking to somebody else to think for them, to act for them, while they cowardly sit back and allow another Nazi Germany situation to happen. Which, if you study World War II, it's not exactly what you think happened, but either way, you don't want that coming to your country, right? Camps, people disappearing in the night, and they're just pushing it out right now. They're testing it out, seeing where it's going to go, because that'll be the reason we all need a digital ID. We need to go have our irises scanned and our facial recognition everywhere, because we got all these illegals. That one party brought in all the illegals, the other party brings in the police state. I probably sound like a broken record, but it's really you making a change in your own life, having an open mind to grow and take care of things around you, okay? Instead of giving your power away to people who never deserved it and are going to use it against you. So, I hope you get what I'm saying. You know, keep your mind open and just take it day by day. We don't have to have all the answers right now, but we do need to move towards a more peaceful, understanding society where we can see each other's problems and we can talk it through without sending thugs in masks at each other. Okay? I felt like having this talk. So I love you all. Enjoy yourselves.